I want to remind you, Christian creatives, creators, aspiring creatives, business owners, aspiring business owners, and those that want to utilize the hub of the internet to make more passive income and get towards your goals, vision, and calling, that God can change everything overnight. I know this because I have watched him do it in my life and in my business over and over again. And I'm going to share with you some of those examples. And we are also going to dig into the character and the heart of God, because I know that it can get really discouraging when you're having trouble getting started, or you're feeling stagnant, or you're having trouble getting over certain hurdles and it feels like nothing is changing, or it's not changing fast enough. You can just wake up one morning after consistently and faithfully applying the proper foundations and see God touch something with his hand and change it just like that. So I'm going to need you to hang in there. Can you imagine how many people tap out a day, a week, a month, a year, right before God is about to touch things? It is finally the time. He knows that you are ready to hold the assignment, and he's just about to touch things, and you decide to tap out. Let's not be those people. So let's talk about the foundations, the consistency, how all of this works together with faith so that you can stay faithful on the journey. I remember the first time that I saw this happen in my creator journey in a big way. One of my original channels, the one that I have been learning from all this time and gathering information and connecting dots and doing guessing and testing so that I could come to this channel and bring you all the best stuff that I've learned over the last handful of years. But on that channel, I remember that I was applying some of the things that I was learning, and I was being consistent, and things were kind of just simmering along, and I kept plugging away at it. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like the video was just doing the same thing all the other videos were doing. And I went to bed and I woke up in the morning and I looked, and it had more than quadrupled in the views. And that was the first time that that happened with one of those videos on that channel. And the thought came to me that, oh, God can change anything overnight. I have often made the comment that in the spring, I feel like things change while we're sleeping, while we're not looking. I'll go outside at night, I'll see something budding on the tree, or it looks like there's some activity happening, and then I go outside the next morning and the whole thing's in bloom. And I'm thinking, that must have happened while I was sleeping. When you're raising baby chicks, there's something about them where you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and this whole thing has changed with them. And you're thinking, what has God been doing in those nighttime hours while I was snoozing? Well, the Bible says that he neither sleeps nor slumbers, but he watches over us. So he is up to a lot of things while we lay our little heads on the pillow, and we must not forget it. So here's the thing. This is not a set it and forget it easy bake oven. This is not, you're not going to have to learn the things, put those things into practice, or be faithful and consistent and strive for excellence and, sit there and have pretty thoughts and the success is going to fall out of the air. Now, on very rare occasion, does that happen? Sure. But generally speaking, we have to do our part in the faithfulness. I have seen this happen in different areas of my life. Let's think about this in different areas of our life. How many times have you been praying for a healing or a deliverance, and you feel like you're praying and praying, or you want an answered prayer, and you're praying and praying and praying and praying, and then just like that, something happens and everything changes. Everything changes. Or you're praying for a person to be saved and it just is looking so hopeless. And then you get that call or that text and everything changes just in an instant. So I think it's easy while we're in the middle of the journey I think it's normal to get discouraged. And sometimes when we get discouraged, we don't put in as much effort. Now, I'm not talking about hustling. I don't promote that on this channel. If you look at the rest of the videos, I very much teach how to grow your business or brand online with a peaceful and quiet heart, and to construct things in a way where it works for you and you are not constantly chasing after it. However, almost all good things in life require hard work. It requires a stretching. Sometimes it requires seasons of discomfort. It requires consistency. And in all things that we do, as believers, we should be striving for a certain degree of excellence to glorify the Lord in it. You know, we see Joseph go from the prison to the palace, just like that. We see David go from a shepherd to a king. We see Rahab go from a disgraced woman to a woman who's being called righteous. We see a widow's debt overturned just like that. We see a woman who's had an issue of blood for most of her life be healed like that. God can change everything like that. God can speak. God can breathe. God can think the thought. God can touch with favor. And I think sometimes we think that God's dragging his feet, but he never is. It's often us that he's working on aligning, or something around us. As Christian creatives, creators, business owners, brand owners, we don't do things exactly the same as the world. We are operating in a different kingdom. It is a different economy. And so there are going to be different requirements. It can never just be about the money. It can never just be about the business. Those things are important, and it's an important part of it, but it can never just be about that. And so God is doing all sorts of things around it and around us. We see Mordecai's overnight promotion. We see Peter's prison break. We see when he couldn't catch fish all night, and all of a sudden Jesus tells him to let the net down into the water again. He pulls it up and the nets are breaking. It's so full of fish. Why? Because it was the moment when God was going to touch it. They that sow in tears will reap in joy. To everything a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. It is your job to not give up. It is your job to keep the faith. It is your job to strive for excellence. It is your job to fight the good fight. It is your job to do the work. It is your job to learn. It is your job to pray for wisdom. It is your job to plant the seed in the garden. And God is the one who brings the increase. We learn the things that we need to learn. We commit to expanding our skill sets and the things that we know. We commit to dealing with our limiting beliefs. Some of this is going to be super hard for some people if you're still hanging on to limiting beliefs about yourself, about the creator economy, about what God wants to do, about the difference between kingdom wealth, the prosperity gospel, and the poverty gospel, because that definitely exists. If we have bad theology around that, it's why I wrote my book, Redeeming Wealth, God's Blueprint for Healing Finances and Building Online Income in a Shifting World. That book gets into the depths of all of that. So if you feel like maybe that's a struggle, maybe that's coming between you and the next step in your journey, you might want to check out my book. It's on Amazon. I believe it's in paperback and hardcover. But friend, you need to deal with the limiting beliefs. I always get comments on my videos where they say, I can't think of anything to say or to talk about that somebody else hasn't already said or done better. I say this all the time, not to be cliche or gimmicky or just make you feel good. That is simply not true, because maybe that other person that's doing it better, there is a certain crowd for them. There is something about you that God has put inside you that is relatable to someone out there that is searching for it. It's the way that you say it, the way that your home is, the way that you carry yourself, your humor, the way that you look. Something might be relatable or unrelatable in just the right way to the person looking for you. You need to figure out what it is that you're going to talk about and who you're talking to, and you need to learn how to position and package And there's so many possibilities out there. But this idea that you don't know what to say because you think there's no ideas left and other people are just going to say it better. In God's economy, there's no such thing as the saturation. Because if he's calling you to it, he's already wiggled room for you in at the table. And he's planted something inside you that he's looking to build, that he's looking to water, that he's looking to nurture, that he's looking for you to allow him to grow so that you can become everything that he created you to be. And the individual voice and heart and calling and passion and hobby and victory and whatever it is that he has placed inside of you, that he can bring it forth to bear fruit in every single season. But you have to continue to believe that if you continue to faithfully apply the proper foundations and faithfulness, that he can absolutely change things overnight. Some things are going to be gradual, but some things can change just like that. I have seen it over and over and over again. And if we have a block and a limiting belief in our head that that's just not possible, that is not possible for us, we are denying the character of God, because I just read to you all of those examples. And if we happen to think that God just doesn't do that for us, then that's a limiting belief that needs to be dealt with. God can bring the rain to the land of famine. God stopped the sun for Joshua so that he had more hours of daylight for victory. God hasn't stopped being God. He is looking for faithfulness and resilience and persistence and loyalty. And I have seen him do things that I never knew were possible. So I'm coming on here today, yes, to give you a pep talk and to encourage you, but to glorify God, because I've seen him do it over and over and over and over again in my business. And the beautiful thing is that at the end of the day, I know that because of that I can't take the credit, and I don't want to rely on my own intellect and my own figuring it out. He's the one that's given me the physical strength in the midst of my health challenges to do this. He's the one that wakes me up in the morning. He's the one that's given me the ideas and the inspiration and the motivation. And he's the one that has touched things over and over and over again with favor. He's the one, as I prayed for it, that's increased wisdom. He is the one that has brought just the right people that need to be there at the right time. He is the one that's delivered and freed me from limiting beliefs. So friend, I pray all of the very best for you, that you would prosper and be in good health as your soul prospers in God. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I pray that you will press forward and that you will finish your race with excellence. If you have any questions, anything that's on your heart, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in any of my resources, I have a free YouTube starter checklist and a free weekly business meetings with God download. And I also have a free Skool community called the Co-Labor Collective. And if you are looking for a YouTube coach, I have my YouTube Masterclass, and that also comes along with a private access link to a Skool community where I can walk beside you on your YouTube journey. So I appreciate all of you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. And Lord willing, I will see each and every one of you beautiful and precious souls right here on the next one. Bye, friends.